Welcome back to TechMaker. In this episode, we're going to take a quick look at how arrow functions work in ES6. To get started, I'm going to jump into the node console in my terminal. Typically, when we want to define a function in JavaScript, we would do something like this. And maybe we want to just console.log the output for now. It's not a particularly useful function, but now we can say hi, and that will get printed back out to us. ES6 introduced a bunch of new features, and one of them is called the fat arrow function. And essentially what that allows us to do is define functions using a really brand new syntax. So instead of saying function up front, we'll say let say equal parentheses word, and then a fat arrow, which is an equal sign and then a greater than sign, open curly bracket, console.log, word again, and then curly bracket. And now I have to use a different one. So we'll say 2. And now we can do say to whatever we want, and that will get printed back out to us. We can also do something a little bit interesting now with ES6 where we say 3 equals word arrow, and then just tell it what to do. So we don't have any curly brackets there anymore. And that will work exactly the same way. And actually, what's useful about that is if we're just going to do like a one-liner with a quick return, like we're just returning one thing, you can always put that there. So you could say let add AB equal, hold on, I'm saying this incorrectly, my apologies, AB arrow, and then we'll just say A plus B. So that's arguably a lot cleaner than having to write function AB return A plus B. So now we can just do A, 1, 2, and we get our answer back as we would expect. One kind of strange case, because when you do this, there's sort of an implied curly bracket here. So I have to say add to, so I don't use the same name again. Well, I guess because I use the curly braces, I actually have to say return maybe. So if I do add 3, yeah, so if you use curly braces, you have to say return. So that leads to kind of an interesting case where, what if I just want to return an object? So, for example, let's say I'm doing something like A, B, B. Well, that's going to mess up because it's still waiting on something. So what we need to do there is actually give it parentheses so that it understands, like, just return this object. Now it's going to tell me that that's already been declared, so I need to give it like add 4. So now if I say add 4, I'm going to get an object back that hasn't actually added anything, it's just got the numbers in it. Okay, so let me clean up my screen a little bit. Maybe pull that up and clear this. So let's look at a really common use case for this. So where you see this particular style a lot is in callbacks. So let's say that we define a function. We'll do it the normal way, call like answer phone, and maybe there's like a caller and then a callback. Okay, and so we'll just do something silly like if caller is Jim Bob, we'll do like callback What do you want, Jim Bob? Else callback. Hello. And that's it. So we can do this where we say like answer phone, and then the sort of classic way that you could do this would be Jim Bob function greeting console.log. And I missed a parenthesis. Yeah. So that's sort of the classic way you can do this. If you are familiar with this, you probably also know that for functions that are predefined, you could just do jimbob console.log. Maybe I need to spell phone correctly. Okay, so what we can do in ES6 though is we can say answer phone Sarah, and then we can do our fat arrow function definition on the fly, and then we can just do console.log greeting. I missed a parenthesis in there. Hold on, let me get out of this. Yeah, so basically that's really handy when you want to do a quick callback in place. Now console.log is not really the best example because it's predefined and you can actually do it an even shorter way, but when you're doing something custom, this makes it a lot easier. And I'm kind of going through this right now because over in our Exploring Ethereum series, there's a lot of this style of JavaScript. So I just wanted to do some explainer videos related to that in case you're not as familiar. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I will see you next time.